Have you ever had an artwork, a piece, an idea that really calls to you? Like, if you're the type of person who has a lot of ideas, I have a lot of ideas, and you know that some of those ideas get done and some of them go by the wayside. And then you get those ideas that like don't let you rest until you let it out. And I feel like lately I've been having more of those ideas, especially in the time that we are in right now today. I've been having more ideas that are kind of like a synthesis of the things that I have been observing and been feeling. As you know, like we are not in a turmoil-free time, especially here in this country, and a lot of the sentiments are spreading out through the world, right? So I'm having a lot of pieces that are just kind of a reflection of those things that I've just been observing and I've been having feelings about, and I need to get it out in some way. Usually when I make work, I feel like I'm the type, I go sit in my dark hole alone and do what I need to do. But I kind of wanted to this time around bring you through a bit of the thought journey and a bit of like the process of making. I feel like I like to do like the actual artwork in my solitude. When it comes to like the thought process and like explaining the formula behind the ideas, I love to yap about it. I'm a yap about it. So I want to talk about a bit of a piece that I'm currently working on right now. And bear with me, I'm not going to fast forward it for the sake of content. I can't be in this rush towards the algorithm anymore. So whether I finish this piece this month or I finish this piece in 6 months, stay with me now. I'm working on a piece right now, and the piece is inspired by a quote that I read. So I read a quote in a book, and the quote was from a Jewish Italian chemist named Primo Levi. And what he said was, monsters exist, but they are too few many in number to truly be dangerous. More dangerous are the functionaries ready to believe and act without any question. And let me give you some context about this quote and where I read it from. This quote was from World War II, but I read it in a book about what happened in Congo Free State when King Leopold II was making it his personal bank account, right? And really subjecting the people to atrocities. And it's so funny how this quote is being used in that book. What happened in Congo happened some 100 to as early as some less than 30 years before what happened in the Holocaust. But still, people didn't learn, people didn't understand. And you know, one reason why I feel like people didn't understand is because what happened in Congo happened in Africa, and people don't really care about it and pay attention to it. But if they did take notes, maybe they would understand and see how some things can affect you too. And here we are, how many years later, 90 years later about? World War II happened in like the 30s to like 33, 39. And we're in 2025 right now. Oh, time is flying. We're in 2025 right now. So some like 80 years later, and yet again, what's happening in this country? Similar themes, right? So that's what this piece is pretty much inspired by. It's inspired by that quote of the men behind the monsters, the people behind the monsters, the functionaries, right? The soldiers, the people who follow orders, and not just the people who follow orders, the citizens, not just the soldiers, but the citizens too, who believe and act blindly without any question. And where are we headed to now? That's what this piece is inspired by. For the form of a piece, I'm using a large bowl vessel. Funnily enough, the form is actually the mistake of another piece that I want to work on. I'll be talking about that piece later once it's done. But I'm the type of person, like when I make a mistake in like pottery and ceramics, I like to take it to failure. I want to see if I'm going to leave here with something. So I want to see what I can make out of it. And I ended up making a bowl. And when I looked at the bowl, I was like, oh, wait, this could be a good base for what I want to work on with this idea. So for the men aspect, or the functionaries aspect, the soldiers aspect, I'm using a character that I made sometime in like the spring. I was like trying to do a lot of sketches and things like that during the spring and try to do like daily sketches. And I made this little like graphic with the character. And I thought to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, that character would be pretty good for like this idea that I'm having. It's kind of just a simple kind of faceless expression, which I think when we think about like people acting as sheep and we think about people in conformity and numbers, I think that kind of like simple face would be perfect. And I also think I want to use that character as like a motif in some of my other works. So I'm carrying it over here. And I didn't know what I wanted to do to represent the monster. So the piece is going to be, I'm not going to spoil it all, but it's going to be the functionaries and it's going to be the monsters, right? And it's just representing that we may see certain individual villains. Sometimes people like to scapegoat one person to kind of void the actions of the rest, right? So we'll have that big monster, but then I want to have the representation of the functionaries, the men, the people that are actively contributing to the monster. So for the monster, I didn't know what I wanted to represent it and design it around. But the other day on a walk, I saw something and I said to myself, that is what I would design the monster off of. I hope the monster comes out well. I hope I do a good job of like interpreting it how I want to interpret it. But that's where I'm at right now with the project. I am going to be attaching the faces of the functionaries, and then I'm going to be working on making and attaching the monster part to the vessel. I hope the vessel comes out okay. This is my first time doing something like this for this type of piece. I've been working little by little trying to add sculptural element to like the forms that I make on the wheel. So do a little hand building and wheel throwing. So I hope the form and piece comes out okay. Stick around whether I finish it this month or next 6 months. But that's where I'm at with it. We're in crazy times, and I think I was really struggling a lot when it comes to creativity in like these times, and I was like, I have one of like the best tools is creativity to express, the things that I see in ways that maybe can gravitate towards other people, and if not, it can be, I don't want to say memorial, but like it can be like a representation of something that's happened. It could be like a tangible documentation of things that have happened. If nothing else, I can use my voice in that way. I think I also I have a song idea in my head that I've written out chords and the lyrics and everything, but I need to make a production. Hopefully that song and that idea gets through and it can go hand in hand with this piece and like a lot of the thoughts I've been having. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now. That's it. Bye.